So here's what I decided for the last hour of the stream. Last week you wanted a big, not last week, it happens quite a bit. You want a big, not really tangent, but a talk about Legend of Zelda. So I figured we can put this into a video, so if you ever need to say, hey, you want to know anything about Zelda that I think, go to this. So here's what I decided to do. I created a tier list with every single Zelda game, including some oddball ones, so you can talk about your feelings.
I'm so happy you haven't played in here because there are some. Also, you're missing some. I'm just gonna point it out.
Which ones?
You're missing Tingle's Rupee Land, and you have it. Oh, I didn't see it.
And
you have
Link's Crossbow Training.
No, you are missing a few.
Which ones?
You're missing the if
you do the CDI, I did not add the CDI because they're not technically canon.
Neither is Tingle's Rupee Land.
Neither
is Link's Crossbow Training.
I know. I purposely didn't add the CDI on purpose.
Yeah. I hope you know that if we get big enough that we can get enough money that I can use that to get a CDI and get the games, we are doing that. Where are you gonna rank out?
We'll get there. So this is all on you. Have you done one before?
Well, I've seen them. I've never done one.
Okay, just click and hold and drag wherever you want.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure.
Have had this tested by a couple people. The next hour is all for you to talk about all the Zelda games. You can go whatever order. You can rank them however ever. It's about you to talk about Zelda games where you think they should place from either good to bad or whatnot.
On this, I have to ask then, can I readjust?
You can readjust.
I was going to say, because there's probably going to need some readjustment.
You can readjust. You can do whatever you want. You have 12 people that have been waiting for you to do this.
Jesus. The only thing is it's going to be really tricky to not spoil some stuff for you, so I'm going to try my best not
I will probably forget, so you'll be fine.
Okay. Anyways.
But I purposely added a trash column, so if you wanted to add put the Breath of the Wild there, you're able to.
It's not. I don't think there's anything that's going to go in the trash. I'm going to be honest.
So just on the safe side, I will.
While I don't think that. See, the thing is that trash doesn't really qualify. If anything, isn't a Zelda game. You know that should be it. If anything.
I will add a D column. If you don't add anyone to trash, there's at least a D column.
Yeah.
Okay. And I haven't played just in case anyone else does this.
And so are we sure this is all of them?
I am pretty sure. I even added 4 swords for you.
Four Swords Adventures.
4 Swords Adventures there. Trust me, I went through the forums. I went through different stuff. I made sure I got everything that pretty much wasn't CDI.
Is the normal Hyrule Warriors on here?
Normal Hyrule should be in there.
There it is. Okay.
There's not remakes. Remakes are not in here. I did at least one of each game.
Well then, okay. So if that's the case, then I'm gonna have to probably rate them as a collective. If they
that's
are remakes.
Fine. You can. I did originals for everything. This is technically original, but it looks better.
It's true. Everything's better about the 3DS version.
So, do whatever you want. The next hour's on you. I'm here to chat with you.
Okay.
But this is what I had stored. I'm like, this is going to be fun. I think he's going to like this. So start wherever. You can start with the first link and go forward. You can do it by...
I'm going to go through as is, and I'll adjust as because it's going to be too hard if I think too hard about it.
Let it rip.
All right. Okay, so 4 Swords Adventures. Let me think about this one. I would say...
You base it off the mechanics of the game where you have that.
I'll explain it, but I'm going to put it in... It's hard because, I have to rate them towards each other, and that's a thing. Because if I wouldn't rate anything below an A, but that doesn't make any sense for this sort of thing. Yeah. So we're gonna put 4 Swords Adventures as a C. I think that's really cool, but it's kind of meant as like a party gimmick, which kind of loses the same feel. Actually, we're gonna do this way, so this way it makes a little more sense. We're gonna do Minish Cap, and we're also gonna do 4 Swords while we're at it.
Okay.
Because I'm gonna be referencing all 3 of these when I'm talking about them. Minish Cap is A, and then 4 Swords is B. So on these 3, I'm gonna say they all 3 had to do with each other. I'm pretty sure Triforce Heroes does too, but I might as well knock that out. it's gonna be between these two regardless. So, so I haven't played. Don't worry. Oh, I don't know if I can rate it trash either because see, this is. I wish there was one that was more like haven't beaten because there's room for improvement with Spirit Tracks. On that note,
You can add it to
I'll get there. I'll get there.
But we'll get there.
Yeah.
Chat, feel free to comment and argue his either points or agree with his points. Feel free.
Check out the trains. Minish Cap. I'm gonna start with Minish Cap actually. So Minish Cap definitely deserves either an A or S. It's a really solid game. I feel like it's kind of culmination of Ocarina, Wind Waker, and like Link to the Past. It has like tons of elements from each of those. It's just a solid. I like trains pretty measure. It's really solid. There's lots of new introductions, and then the story is fantastic. It introduced the Picori sword and all that stuff. So yeah, you can't rate this one anymore. 8 soldiers.
Yeah.
On that same tier. So Four Swords and
I'm gonna
Four
sit
Swords
back.
Adventures are what follows it up actually in that order, I believe. So it's like the same thing, but they kind of wanted to make it into a multiplayer aspect of it. And Four Swords was actually really cool, and that was something I didn't get to do as a kid. I finally got to do it when the 3DS version of it came out, which because of that I can't get rid of my 3DS because they stopped supporting that apparently. Anyways, hopefully we're gonna be able to find a ROM for that because that might be the only way we can do it. But I really want us to try that. Four Swords is fucking awesome. It's like multiplayer Zelda.
I hope you know it took me like a half an hour to figure out Four Swords was a separate game or an add-on to a game.
Nope.
And then I kept on reading and reading.
It is though because the only way you can play Four Swords is through Link to the Past on the GBA comboed with it. And there was some extra stuff, which by the way, when we get to Link to the Past, we're going to have to play the GBA version because of that, because there's actual extra stuff.
Yes.
And ideally, we can get the GBA things set up and we'll link them up. But I think you have to have actually 4 people. I don't think you can actually just do it with 2 people. Anyways, getting sidetracked. So Four Swords is really cool. It's kind of like a boss rush sort of thing. I don't know. It's fun to play. So I don't think it doesn't really feel like a Zelda game though. So I would put it more in B tier. I might move that later, Four Swords Adventures, it has a story, but it feels like it feels weird. They're trying to wrap up their Four Swords story. It has a lot of aspects like Four Swords, and
it's an expensive game.
It had a lot of cool things with it, but I don't know.
You needed 4 people. That was the key.
No, you didn't. You can do 1 person, 2 people, whatever. That's Four Swords Adventures is the one that I actually have beaten. The train is trash. Why would I wasn't to move with a pen? Yeah, so I don't know. It just like it's weird. It's like it's trying to be a Zelda game see, that's the thing is Four Swords isn't really trying to be anything but just a really fun 4-player like
kind of like a demo type thing. But it has continuity and
I think these both came out like in the same time actually. So
it has continuity and it's canon because it actually evolves around some of the story.
Well, because that's the thing is basically regardless you're taking down the bad guy, which is in these 3 games. So. And but this one, like, they try to make a story out of it, but it's just trying to be something it's not. That's what I'll say.
Moving with the stylus was garbage, unless you're talking about Wind Waker. If so, get out of here.
Wait, Wind Waker on stylus? Oh, wait,
better than the fucking boat, if you're talking about Wind Waker.
No, what are you talking about? The boat is way better than the train. Are you kidding me?
But yeah, Phil, again, you have an hour to kill, so it's all yours.
Okay. Triforce Heroes. Okay, so I haven't played it.
It's the end of the Dalton saga, right?
I don't remember.
No, it's the end of the Fallen Hero saga.
Well, Four Swords is part of the adult, so
is it?
I don't think that's right, unless that is just something else.
I looked on.
Well, okay, actually, you might be right because either way, Minish Cap is before the split, so that might be. You might be right because they technically can bring back the Picori sword either way. So, yeah, I haven't played it, but I know that the plot is that you go to this new kingdom where there's a princess who's known for being pretty, and that's all. And everybody likes to dress up in fancy outfits. And, well, She gets cursed by someone. I don't remember why, and she has to wear a brown one, like a unitard, not unitard. What do you call it? Fucking morph. What do you call it?
Triforce Heroes is the end of the Fallen Heroes.
Okay, so yeah, but it feels like it's connected to these, but it's technically tangent. She gets cursed, and your job is to like fucking uncurse her so she can wear clothes that don't suck again. It's like the stupidest shit ever. I don't think Zelda's even in it, and it seemed like really like a grind fest sort of deal from what I've seen. Like you're just trying to get different outfits. That's about the whole game. So, and it's not like a Zelda style grinding for outfits. It's like a fucking RPG grinding for outfits thing. It just looks stupid. I might be wrong. I am looking forward to play this regardless. It is Zelda, but from my initial observation of it, it just doesn't. It's why. So, all right. So, yeah. Let's see.
You want to get the side ones out of the way real fast?
Yeah, let's get the side ones out of the way. So, Tingle's Ruby-Land is probably good, but I haven't played it, so I can't really say a whole lot about it.
Link's crossbow training?
Link's crossbow training is fucking bomb. I'm so upset they didn't do more with this. So that's a fucking A tier. It's not even like a Zelda game, but fuck it, I don't care. You're just shooting things. It's like literally a rail shooter with a Zelda characters. So yeah, I love that shit. Lineback was one of the few redeeming features of the... Yes. Yeah.
Zelda 2 is actually the end of the Fallen Hero timeline. Triforce Heroes came out after. Link to the Past.
I was going to say is I don't think Triforce Heroes came out when they did I think that was after they made the
This
timeline.
is from the Legend of Zelda wiki.
Skyward Sword is the... I don't trust that as much because the only official published was in the book.
They have Oracle of Ages, A Link Between Worlds, and then Triforce Heroes. Unless they're just...
Wait, yeah, you're right. It did. It comes place between those. Which is so fucking weird. Like, why did he go to a different land? He was in Hyrule. I don't get it. It just makes no sense. So, Tingle's Ruby-Land, I don't really know a whole lot about. It's only a pale game.
Hyrule Historia.
Yes.
Hysteria. Official? Okay.
Yeah.
I believe you. I'm
yes,
also on Zelda wiki, so...
Yeah, Tingle's Ruby-Land is... pale and Japanese only. There's not really a good way to do that. So
the last oddball you have is Hyrule Warrior, not Age of Calamity, but the other one.
So this is a hard one again because I think I'm just gonna have to put that in an A tier. I love this game. I put in like a couple hundred hours actually, and I didn't even play with all the DLC. So
you still more to do.
Well, I gotta start from scratch, which is why I've been putting it off because I had to switch off of Wii U. It's not a Zelda game, and it's really fucking... Koei Tecmo, like, shoved their fucking ass into the thing, and they just unleashed. Because, like, it's like, hey, new Japanese character. She doesn't look like a Zelda character, by the way. Hey, there's an evil Japanese version character, this girl. Now we're gonna unleash Ganon. And then all these other random enemies that are, like, normal enemies in the Zelda timeline. Also, the dragon we're about to fight is human? And you fight him as human? I don't know why. Lots of weird things. But honestly, it's just one of those situations. I think the gameplay just is so fun that I don't even care. And it is really cool because there's so many nods to the series that it feels like it really does feel like it's part of it. Even though it's definitely not.
A time travel Zelda type game.
Well, it's like completely like, it's not even with their weird fucking like time split thing, there's no place for this at all. But yeah, I love it. I really love that game. So, not a Zelda game though. So, all right, and then let's see. Is there? Nope. We got all the rest of them here.
Whatever you want to do now. You want to start with the other series, which is the Breath of the Wild.
Okay, since these guys are talking a lot about it, how about I get the fucking Wind Waker shit out of the way? All right, Toon Link time. Well, yeah, which is Adult Link timeline, because math, you know. All right, so let's start. Where's Wind Waker at?
Pass it right there.
Oh yeah, they're all golden.
I know.
Okay, so Wind Waker S tier. I would not have rating that that high. If you asked younger Josh at all. I hated this game. I hated Zelda because of this game.
Because of what reason?
I sucked. I couldn't get. I rented it from Blockbuster. Okay, so going back to young Josh time. Fucking love Blockbuster. Went there all the time. Blockbuster for all the future people watching.
By
on
the
YouTube.
way, Rip Family Video.
Yeah, like you probably hear like super ancient people that talked about Blockbuster. If you young Zoomers on the YouTubes and everything. I fucking love Blockbuster. I don't care. It was the only way we could do it, but it was so cool because you could like browse stuff. That's why I always like GameStop and stuff like that too. I love browsing, even if it's like, I don't get anything. So
Because you get ideas.
You do. So that was like crazy. So anyways, young Josh got a GameCube, and had no games for it. I don't remember why. It was kind of weird because I got a ton of games for it, like the Christmas after.
Go
like
figure.
literally every, including like Chibi Robo, like every fucking good game I got that Christmas. I don't know what happened. Anyways, and I remember being upset that I was given Wind Waker. So, but I was hyped because I got Four Swords Adventures. So, anyways, there's a beginning part after you get past the tutorial area. You'll see it. There's a sneaking section, and I just couldn't sneak. I was impatient. I didn't get it. Mm-hmm. So I got caught like
every
10 times in a row. Also, part of the issue was, now this isn't my fault being stupid, but I wouldn't have been this angry if I didn't suck. I finally got past it, and I got into a cutscene, and the game froze because the game was scratched to shit. So
Link's Crossbow Training isn't S++ tier.
Link's Crossbow Training is fucking epic, but also it's not like yeah.
It's not a Zelda game.
It's not a Zelda game. It's also all of about like a half hour long. So.
No. So you hated Wind Waker as a kid because you couldn't get past the part,
I
and when you finally did, the game just froze.
I was so pissed. It took me like forever to get past that too.
But then Adult Link, and then Adult Josh played the Wii U remake, or
no. I played it.
You played the original first.
When I owned it, I was like, okay, I have to at least give this a try. I know it's a new copy, so it's not gonna freeze.
Up.
So
and you flew right by it.
And I did, and. My first playthrough was great. My second playthrough and onwards, I started to like lose a lot of love for it because of the whole boat surfing.
What drew you back in?
It's just an overall. It has that is sometimes viewed as that is a very valid flaw even in my own mind. So there's not really I can't really answer that per se because I can't really.
Did the HD remake help?
No, I hated the HD remake. Only because of the Wii U's controls suck ass. So didn't work for that.
Respectable. I mean, we didn't have good controls.
However, they did actually fix the thing, and that's the thing because my sister and I we played these together growing up. So well, usually at least I'd be playing, and she would be like having the guidebook, like tell me what I need to know, sort of thing, not like step by step. So it was really cool. We used to do that for like a lot of games, and she was getting like incredibly sick of
the boat
sailing, which is a lot of the game. It is like kind of a downside, but
it tells a good story.
But it's also like, and on top of it too, like it's kind of cool because if you think about it in a way, so I kind of like had to take a step back and realize that it's you could have a game where you're just walking around all of Hyrule the whole time, like Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
This is just like it kind of is more impactful, like when you are and there's just nothing everywhere you go because Hyrule is underwater. There's like a bit of a toss up, but regardless,
great idea.
Everything other than that in the game is like perfect, and the Wii U version does add a sail that makes you go faster, twice as fast. So that fixed that issue. There's also one other issue I'd like to point out, and this is going to be the start of the lead up to Breath of the Wild. I gotta pace myself because I gotta have time to rant about that again.
You do. This is one reason why I did it, so you can rant about it, and you're like, if you want to hear me rant, go to this video.
Yeah. So this is not Wind Waker is not the first one I played by any means. It was one of the first though. But then I took my break and I came back and I played like a bunch in between then. I played. I want to say Link to the Past, Majora's, Ocarina for sure. I played the original one, I think, by then. So I had already like played enough at that point to form my conclusion
Yeah.
about the series. And I knew what to expect from a Zelda game, and that's kind of one of the things that I like. I like things when they stay. I'm not big on change. I like when things, at least like the things that I appreciate, that like something that I fell in love with. I like them to be there, you know, on the and keep
Kind of
continue
stay
on.
the same, but add new mechanics.
Yeah, like I like a little bit of new stuff, but you know. So, and what they did is when they started with that was something that again it kind of made me lose respect for Breath of the Wild, is the fact that okay, so I'm a completionist, especially when it comes to Zelda. Zelda games, the early ones that I did play, like the ones I listed, they are 100%, like you can get everything in the game pretty easily. You can beat the whole game 20, 30 hours, you know. And there's just I love the feeling of completing something. Wind Waker was the first one, so they have when you're going around, there's these, you get a grappling hook. Your grappling hook becomes your a deep sea diving claw. Oh, not it's like you pull up your treasure chests and whatnot. And there's these glowing rings on the water. I like getting everything, so I was trying to get those. I spent like probably 20 hours going around the map getting those to hook back around and find that there's more of them. Apparently, there's ones that respawn. There's a lot of them, by the way.
They
respawn
purposely
infinitely.
respawn.
It's like a rupee grinding thing, I guess.
So you couldn't.
I didn't know that, and I didn't like that. That is one thing that I was really, really bummed about. What is?
How did you get the yellow with the? Oh, the thinking YOLO is great.
So yeah, yep. So that's basically it. I love, but the story especially. I'm not going to reveal again too much, but the reveals and stuff when you eventually get to Hyrule Castle, that's like there's just some stuff that like. It was so impactful when you went and go through it the first time, and it's so like epic that I just there's nothing that could change it from an S tier.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, there are, but obviously there are exceptions to that. But it was just a perfect balance. And once I know which one of those things I need to focus on for those rings every time I beat it again, and yes, every time I beat it, I go for all the rings that I can get that don't respawn. That's just who I am. It's not that bad. It's really not. It's one of the longer Zelda games for sure, but it's not that bad. So, anyways, that's Wind Waker. I absolutely love it. Also, gotta fucking say, the ending of Wind Waker, oh my god, is so crazy good. So, all right. So on that time, I'm more Toon Link. Love the YOLOs. We got Spirit Tracks. Haven't complete. This is a hard one because this is like, I haven't finished it, but I should probably rate for what I've played. Yeah. From what I played, there are some elements that I like. It is Zelda, like it has normal Zelda mechanics for the most part. There's like a weird stamp system thing that's going on that seems really forced. I'm not really crazy about. Yeah, no, it's just not good. The thing is I've
They tried a new
tried.
DS game and they didn't do it.
This was
properly.
my last one I had to complete my collection. And when I got that, like I was really pumped, and then I played it, and I played like probably like 2 or 3 hours straight, and then I just stopped. And I was like, I wonder why I didn't do that. And I went back like 2 more times after, and it's like the same thing. And I think it literally is. I'm not enjoying it. I think it's just not. So it's just kind of hard to say. The fucking train shit is god awful. They changed the lore, like the god lore. And I know they've done that a few times, but there's like they don't talk about.
He likes good at B&W.
Yeah, it was weird. I mean, and then yeah, there's like 2 gods that they're talking about that like came out of nowhere. It's just weird. It's like really out there. And also the biggest thing, and this is what my sister and I would talk about, Zelda should be like medieval, and I get some like some expansion into like more modern culture, but when it has too much stuff that's like futuristic, and I know that's not really futuristic because it's just a train, it's how future, but that's still like that's pretty modern, you know, like that's industrialized at least. That feels out of place in Zelda in my opinion. So yeah, that's a D. In fact, that might even be an E, but we'll leave
Trash
it
is E.
there. But there's worse than that, so. Anyways, so yeah, the scaling of this down here section may not be correct to what I'm trying to get my point across. But all right, anyways, and then Phantom Hourglass has a lot of gimmicks.
Yo, Spirit Track can move down to trash tier.
No, because there's worse than Spirit Tracks.
We'll get there.
So Phantom Hourglass. No, it's a B. That's a B. It's above. It'd be above Four Swords for sure.
Do not put that above Spirit Track.
It is better. I'm sorry. I'm not saying it's great, but I'm not saying it's great. But yeah, but what was his name again? Your guy on the ship is actually really cool.
You did not.
What is everybody? Spirit Tracks is worse than Phantom Hourglass. I'm sorry.
You might need some bullet points here, my man.
Okay. First off, I'm saying I didn't finish Phantom Hourglass. I mean, I didn't finish Spirit Tracks, so I need that to be clear. Is that I don't know if it gets better, but it loses my interest, and more so than Phantom Hourglass did. Phantom Hourglass was a little bit rough, and there was a lot. Actually, it's more than a little bit rough, but I don't know because like it does. Nah, yeah, that's a C. That's a C. Because it's so gimmicky, the whole thing.
I am sick.
Sorry, guys. I don't know enough about Spirit Tracks, but it just felt out of place. It just didn't even feel really like... It's like they were trying to make a different game and they slapped Link on it just so that people would buy it. And this at least felt like Wind Waker, but it was just like not even close to as enjoyable as Wind Waker. So they have this thing you're gonna hate, by the way. There's the main dungeon which you have to get through to beat the game. You are on a time limit every time, and your whole goal is to get a bigger time limit by beating dungeons. So it's really annoying. But
I can't wait. It seems fun.
I don't know. It's kind of cool. So, and they do a good job of continuing. It's got the whole the ending, yeah. But I actually don't mind the ending the way they do this one because there's other games that do endings like that, and that's all I'm gonna leave it at because of this kid being next to me. And I don't mind it. It actually kind of felt like an homage to one of my favorite Zelda games, which might also be why I like it a little bit more. Don't get me wrong. I think I'd only play Phantom Hourglass probably one more time before and I've only played it once. It just doesn't warrant playing again. It's one of those ones that like you've done it, you get the story, that's it. I'm also not a handheld guy, and this like really both of these suffered really badly from like handheld disease. I feel like where they're just like forcing everything on where it doesn't make sense and shouldn't be on there.
Touchpad and whatnot.
Yeah, and well, not even that, but like because they put it on that, it's like the tech limitations make the game shorter, make it like really weird. Like it just doesn't feel right. So. The 3DS got a little bit better about that, but I kind of was burnt out on DS, so it was kind of weird. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trashing Game Boy or GBA. Those were great. DS mainly is what I'm talking about. DS had a lot of issues, in my opinion. So, love-hate thing I got going on there. Okay, so gotta keep on moving. All right, so... Yeah, sorry to wreck all your guys' dreams. In fact, might as well just get it over with. I'm gonna wreck some more. Not what you're thinking of yet, but okay. So first things first. I haven't played ages, and I really am hoping this is gonna pull it through. Because my experience with see, this is weird because it's definitely a Zelda game. So. And it feels like it, and there's a lot of cool like references. The big thing, the whole premise of these games, just so you know, is that I'm sorry, Jacob. This is how I feel. Can't appease everybody. Yeah. Ages and seasons are you're stuck in a like dream world state of Hyrule. Not even Hyrule actually. I don't think. And you meet the gods in human form. Minus for they were gonna do a green version, but they never did. And instead they did this thing where you link them up, and your save data merges between the two of them, and you end up fighting like a combined boss of the both of them.
Oh, that's
it's
cool.
really interesting. And Furore is just the save station. It's really weird. Yeah. Anyways, it was honestly really cool, and I feel like I need to give this really another shot. But Seasons had a lot of really annoying gimmicks in it, though. That's the thing that killed me. Now, Ages might be better, but I get that's what the whole thing is about. And it's so...
Did they come out at the same time?
It's so... Yeah, they did. They were like... It's like Red and Blue. You're supposed
Gotcha.
to have a friend that played the other and then like trade and whatnot. So... It's not that it's just I had a better time with these guys up here. That's basically why I'm putting it here.
Yeah, you heard that. Link's crossbow training's better.
It for me it was. I mean... But also because again it's a short game. I feel like if they made it
And
really
you
long,
like short
I
games.
do. I like short games. Although alternatively, it's right next to fucking Hyrule Warriors, where I put like 300 hours into. So, anyways, the season changing, like some of the fucking puzzles you have to do is just really tedious. Like they're incredibly easy to figure out, but so tedious.
Yeah.
And it's I shouldn't say that because honestly, like it's really no different than any Zelda game, and it's not any worse than having to go back to a kid in Ocarina.
Yeah.
But for some reason, it doesn't feel as enjoyable as the rest of them. I can't really put words to it. That's just how I gotta leave it. Yeah. Again, I haven't played Ages. I'm hoping that's gonna redeem Seasons for me a little bit more. I don't know. It wasn't bad, and it plays just like the next one I'm gonna talk about, which is is that it?
It's Game Boy.
Which is my second favorite Zelda game, which it surprises a lot of people. I would still say it's second.
Link to the Past?
Yep. Nope. Wait, is that Link to the Past?
I can't tell. It's too small.
Well, whatever it is, we're going to pretend this is Link's Awakening. This should be... Actually, it's Game Boy. It's Link's Awakening. This being said, I have not played the remake yet still, because backlog and I'm just making terrible decisions. But, yeah, no, I really love... I don't know what affected me so much in this game, but this is one of the few games that made me cry. It was weird.
Side note, he's still mad at me for not dating Marin.
Yeah, I'm incredibly pissed about that. It's the only game... I mean, granted, I haven't finished a couple of these, but the only game that Link actually gets to go on a date and have a love interest in this. Since you've beaten it, and you missed the thing, so I want to tell you this. So... In Wind Waker, there's like you for certain puzzles you actually like have this like weird mind control thing over seagulls that you do. This is one of the craziest things. I don't know if there's a connection, but I always believe it too, and because of the way I believe it, I think that's awesome. At the end, when everything ends, so first off, just to put it simple, it's a very like basic, simple Zelda game, top down. Has a lot of really cool Nintendo references all throughout, which
Kirby,
are really,
Mario,
really nice.
Donkey Kong.
At first, I didn't really like that, but I actually felt it merged really well. And regardless, the whole game, it takes place in a dream, so they can do whatever the hell they want to with it. You're collecting songs, which I'm realizing is a trend with me, loving games apparently. So, well, because it's not even just that. Like you piece together a song to end the game. That's what you fucking do in Earthbound. So, and
Parappa the Rappa.
no, that's not what you do with Parappa. Parappa's you gotta hope that you can time it right.
But it's rhythm based.
It is. Yeah, and it had that sort of thing where it's like, like your Zelda games, well, here's like a weird like fantasy version of it, and like you form like different connections with the people you already know, but it's like familiar but distant. It's really interesting. And I don't know what it was, but I probably wouldn't feel the same way again, but yeah, it made me cry at the end. It was weird. I had this weird connection with that. And anyways, when it ends, so you can go on a date with Marin, which is great. It's super adorable that you can actually do that. If you go on the date with her and you get the ending, then you get a special ending with her. And there's a seagull flying off at the end of the screen, and you see a picture of Marin at the end, right above it, insinuating that her spirit, because she, remember how she, in the game when you talked to her, she said that she wished she could be free like a seagull?
Yeah.
So I believe she like spiritually turns into a seagull, and you get to fucking interact with her in Wind Waker, which is crazy. Like it may not have like no, again, it's just the way my brain's connecting it. But that was like huge. Wrong. That was huge for me, and the fact that I played Wind Waker before it obviously makes a big impact, which a lot of people wouldn't be able to have because it came out way before it. So I absolutely love it. It's just super simple. Plus that's when they introduced like a lot of cool new versions of Zelda songs in it, so the music was great. It was just a huge like success in my book. So all right, so that's the Game Boy games. Might as well keep in the same boat. It's gonna be hard because I remember Link Between Worlds very well, but yeah, no, that's, I think both of them.
Link to the Past and Link Between Worlds.
Hold on, no, that goes up there. I don't get me wrong, I do love Link to the Past, but it, in my opinion, I still think it's separate from these guys, but I think S tier is still most appropriate for it. So, and I mainly, the thing is, regardless, I gotta hold on to it being an S tier, because if it wasn't for this, every top-down Zelda game would be like just horrible. So this is what pioneered that. One of the other reasons why I really love Link to the Past is one of the darkest of them. You actually feel like hopeless, like playing the game for a while. You'll get there when we do that, and it's really cool the way they do that. So, and it's just so like unique and memorable. I feel like they just did such a good job with making the plot and all the fights. It was a surprisingly large game, so they did great with that. Yeah, I don't know. I like. I just love what they did. The music was amazing. Again, I mean, let that be said for like all of these mainly, but especially the S tier ones make an impact for me. That's a huge mark I will put on all the ones that are in S tier. Their music is just amazing. Yeah, there's so much, and there's so much in gaming that's even been referenced from Link to the Past. So it's an amazing one. And I feel like a lot of people didn't like Link Between Worlds, but I really think like they nailed it. I mean, I'm very frustrated with Link Between Worlds, but just because of the fact it's the only game that like, because of my skill, I cannot, or at least I've decided I cannot 100% it. It's very frustrating. There's an extra an extra thing that happens in the credits if you can survive like a crazy like 5-minute long like Kuko attack. I can't. I've tried so. I like to challenge myself. It's just cruel. I just can't do that. So I will admit defeat. I will say I need to get good, whatever. But no, while I didn't really I was really like confused, especially by Nintendo putting out like I don't mean this as an insensitive thing towards like, well, I guess this would be like LGBTQ, whatever. Wow, what did I just say? The LGBTQT plus community, but I felt like they were trying so hard to put in the villain of this one is like this androgynous like thing. I don't mean to say that in a mean way. I just don't know if it was a guy or a girl. I generally don't. I don't know if they ever state that. It just felt like they were trying to do something like that, where they're trying to be really androgynous. Maybe that's just how I perceived it. And because of that, I felt like it was like they were trying so hard, because Gear Game also kind of had that, where he was being like really weird and like, like he was just like weird for like weird case, and it's like almost to the point where it's like you're trying so hard to be weird that you almost have like no reason for me to remember you. Like, so that's kind of what I was trying to get at. But it felt almost like they're trying to be more PC by putting in someone that's androgynous, that isn't gender defined. That may have just been me. I think they probably did say the gender, but it just felt like that. I don't know. And I don't think that's a bad thing in all cases. It just it just because of that, I think they lost sight of it being like a proper villain in my book. Because the only thing they wanted to do was like go like bring back Ganon and I don't know, capture the princess. It didn't really have. There was like no like major goal. And the thing is Ganon. We know the whole demise thing with Skyward Sword. So if they're continuity wise, that doesn't really make a lot of sense unless like if them being demise because Ganon is still in existence. So it was just weird. That being said, everything else was like they were just adding on, in my opinion, to Link to the Past. They did get kind of weird with some things, but I did like the whole alter ego thing. So I guess that's just my opinion about it, though. I know a lot of people would hate that. But we also were introduced to some characters that that people really like still talk about, like Hilda and Rovio, I think his name is. So I don't know. I think it's worth talking about those. And regardless, it was a super nostalgia hit for me. So I mean, it just felt like I'm like back in the world, but there's like new stuff to do. So it was really cool.
Yep.
All right, moving on.
Want to get the old boys out of the way?
Is that Ocarina of Time? Okay. Yeah, sure. Let's see. I have to really think about these ones though. This is probably also not going to be a really popular opinion for some of these, but let's see. So, yeah, no, I think it's an S tier for.
So what started the series?
Legend of Zelda. There's lots of room for improvement, but there's such iconic stuff, and I think it's a game that I get myself to play usually once a year. And I never look back on it. It's enjoyable still. So that speaks a lot for it, I guess. And it's got like a free it's got a learning curve. You gotta learn the hard way. But like what where you're supposed to go, where you're supposed to do, in what order. Yeah. It's got the whole Japanese games early '80s or not early '80s, mid '80s problem where a lot of them were horribly translated. It does have that issue, but not anything like Zelda 2. And you even saw that the translation issues that were in Castlevania 2. It's a thing. So, but for the most part, it was clean. It just was a little bit rough on translation, in my opinion. I love 100%ing this game. It's great. It feels great every time. Yeah, and that's one of the challenge I think of that one. It makes a big difference for me too because it's still a little tougher than most of them, and getting this no death run every time, it is so much better feeling than some of them. So this is a hard one to no death run. I've not made that as a guaranteed one I'll reset every time with because that one, the problem is that the last dungeon is so much harder than everything else. So I'll usually, if I die...
Hey, your Ganon's easy, though.
Ganon's easy. That's the thing. There's specifically whiz robes. That's the issue. When you get into... There's a couple rooms where I could just get myself killed. And it's like 2 rooms away from the last boss.
Go figure.
So it's one of those ones that I don't hold myself too well to, but I have 0 death run that like at least 4 times. It's really satisfying. So that's all I really have to say about it. It's open enough where it invites exploration, but you can get everything in it. That's that satisfaction that you get when you're like, you've got like only 2 spots left in your heart containers to fill it out, and you've got like almost all the items, all the weapons. You got your bomb upgrades, got a ton of rupees. There's not much that beats it. So. But you can also do that pretty reliably in like not even 5 hours. So
that's good.
It's really satisfying for me. All right, the black sheep of the family. All right, let's see. So Zelda 2, I love, but I do not think it belongs in S tier because there are many issues with it.
It's hard.
Yeah. But I love that. So
I know.
There's like a specific. It has On that note, and I know I hate when people normally bring it up, the whole like comparing things to Souls, But because it is talked about so heavily, there's good vernacular I can use to describe this, and that's the same reason why I like Dark Souls. So I am going to talk about it in this way, and I apologize to everyone that's cringing, because there's something about where you have to actually think out your actions instead of just going wildly into battle, and you actually have to plan stuff out. Zelda 2 does that perfectly, in my opinion, where you don't have every ability in the game right off the bat. That most of the stuff that you're running into is the fact that you don't have the abilities or skills, kind of Metroidvania-ish, to take on this stuff really easily. So you have to really carefully plan out what you're going to be doing. Mm-hmm. Once you get there, then holding your own, leveling up is really, like, it all pans out. It works out great. And you feel I at least feel satisfied when I do it. This is still one of those games where the challenge is so... This is one of the hardest games. This might be the hardest game I've ever played. I don't know really where I'd put them all, so it's kind of hard to judge that. But...
We'll get there.
I don't think we have to... I mean, I think the older they get, the harder they get. So if you have anything that's newer than this, I don't think it's going to be able to hold a chance.
This or...
Never mind, you're right. No, you're right. Ghosts and Goblins is... I think the hardest game that I've ever even touched. So
I was gonna say this is the hardest Castlevania you played.
What, 2?
Mm-hmm.
You thought 2 was hard?
No, that you've played.
Hardest Castlevania.
What's your hardest Castlevania? What is the hardest?
Oh, the hardest Castlevania. There is definitely one. I can't think of it right now. 3. The US 3 still would be pretty
okay. Is it harder than that?
Yeah. Yes. I cannot beat the last boss without cheating. Not cheating. It's in Zelda 2. Yeah. There's a I'll just tell you. There's after you fight a boss, you go into like the last room and you're like, "Hey, we're going to win the game." Holy shit, your shadow's coming out from you. Shadow Link comes out. First time you ever see Shadow Link in the whole series. He's fucking crazy. It's terrifying, and he does so much damage so quickly to you. It's like legitimately like
the scariest thing you've ever seen.
Scary as fuck. And there's a little glitch where you can just like hide in not a glitch, but it's just an exploit where you hide in the corner. You still take a hell of damage, but at least you can reliably kill him.
Yeah.
And you just duck in the corner and just like flail wildly. That's basically it. So. It's not graceful. I've tried, even with save states, just to like keep on doing it. I can't do that legitimately. So, and even there's these enemies called Fakas. Their names kind of speak for themselves because, they're major assholes. And they're, to anyone who knows the Zelda series, Dark Nuts, and has not played this, which I think everybody watching really kind of, because I think it's all people that played the older ones, I think. Mm-hmm. They're Dark Nuts that can jump and throw daggers at you. It's so terrifying. It's genuinely like scary. So, and they pull out all the stops at the last dungeon again. This, I have only one. I will only ever be able to do one no death playthrough on this. So, oh my god, that was hard though. And I didn't risk it at all. I ducked in the corner at the end. That was
that's all you can do, man.
I'm not risking it, not for my 0 death run. So I truly love it. But again, as the main issue, a lot of people don't like it, and I will point that out, that its difficulty seems almost unfair. And familiar with another type of series. And also, this is a valid concern I have, which is why it won't make an S tier for me, is that the mistranslations means you cannot figure out the game unless you called a hint line, or else you had a friend who have gotten further from that. There's a lot of games like that. I do not believe this can go above A tier for that because of that. So I do love it, and I think, and if it wasn't for this, we wouldn't have the smash controls that we have today, because almost all of his attacks come from this game.
Huh.
So
all right, down to the nook and cranny.
So we're just gonna knock out these right now. I'll go through them all. So I will say this would be above S tier if I get one. So, but these are like all, in my opinion, these are perfect games in the Zelda series. And yeah, so going quickly through it, Zelda Twilight Princess is my third favorite Zelda game. That's because it is the darkest and edgiest. It feels like it's in like a proper setting. It feels like the way they have things out. Like I feel like they could have somebody like it's just a matter of time before you walk across like somebody dying of fucking like polio or something. It's like dark. It's realistic. It not realistic, but it's realistic in the setting it's in. I feel like, but there's still this charm to it. It keeps it nice and happy. But there's so much overbearing darkness and just sadness in it. I love that shit. I love that in anime. I love that in like everything I do. So, dark wins for me. That being said, it has really fucking annoying areas to it.
Doesn't any game.
A lot of these don't. But music is great. The bosses are beautiful. Fighting Dark Nuts in this game feels so good. Actually, just on that note, the fighting in Twilight Princess is so good. I don't think it gets better than Twilight Princess because it feels more realistic. It still is not realistic at all, but it feels, out of all of Zelda, it feels the most realistic. And it actually, you have to like the shit you have to go through to like learn some moves and stuff. It feels like an ordeal. It's really cool. The ending is also really sad and epic. So love that. And also it's where we get like this is a silly thing, but this is like some of my favorite character models. Actually, my favorite character models of every Zelda character are in this game. every character that is in the whole series, I love this look over every other look. All right. We get back when we were in Smash 4, I think, and before. Zelda, Ganon, and Adult Link. They're all Twilight Princess. So they look great. They actually look like royalty and like real people, you know. So Skyward Sword, I love to death. It has Fee is bae. I don't care what anybody says. Granted, when you are low on batteries, she's annoying as fuck. I'll agree with that. She doesn't have a lot of emotion. That's okay. She's a robot sword girl. So. I don't know. I'm not going to defend saying that she's like the best character of all time. She makes me feel happy, and I was so happy that they did something with the Master Sword, giving it some sort of like
life. Yeah,
because if they just treated it as a sword, you'd feel so much less about that. And that's what Skyward Sword's about, is the Master Sword. So I think it's really important, and maybe it's just the way they wrote her music and stuff too. But when you are putting the Master Sword away for forever. That scene is a major tearjerker.
Feels like bye.
Yeah, it is so sad, but also like so like heartwarming. You know, to know that that yes, this is the Master Sword that we use throughout the whole franchise, pretty much. So,
and Fee's always there.
I absolutely love it. I actually really love the motion controls. Granted, it does kind of take away from the smoothness.
Boo! Motion controls, boo!
But it was, and it is a gimmick. I won't deny that, but. To have the full control finally over the swords and be able to do the shit that I'm like, man, if I could just, like, you know why you go across the P-hat, the giant, like, roll rim thing that's in Hyrule Field, and you just got hit with its little wiener thing? Could you imagine if you had motion controls, you just walk up and just, bam, done. That's it. Like, it'd be so easy. Like, motion controls were, like, something I've always wanted in a Zelda game.
It is cool, but it's a gimmick.
It is. Yes, 100%. I will agree with that. That being said, the fact that they try to rope everything up into an all-together lore, tried is the key word because they really fucked that up right after. But that's a big for me. I love huge lores and huge connections between the franchise. So moving along. Also, Girahim's great. I actually was talking about him, like I said earlier, but I like him. Majora's Mask is perfect. I love it. It's so dark. I mean, and the thing is that it wouldn't be that without Ocarina. But if once you play Ocarina, like love Ocarina, and be like, wow, this is like a really solid one. I love all these characters. I'll always remember Talon, Malon, the fucking Impa, Sheik, Ganondorf, the fucking weird slappy heroin guy.
Skull Kid.
Well, Skull Kid's kind of forgettable, but yeah, he's more. But you do remember him either way. that's the thing. Regardless, is you remember everybody for Ocarina. So this is a twofer. We're gonna talk about Ocarina and Majora's. Ocarina is just kind of like I can't really say much else. Then it's just kind of it just does everything it was supposed to do like so perfectly.
They brought a new character, Epona.
Yeah, they brought in Epona, and the time traveling thing is like really interesting. It keeps you like thinking a little bit more, and it is a really at the time unique way of dealing with like these puzzles and whatnot. The story is beautiful, and the culmination of all of it. I mean, it's just absolutely wonderful. It's a great game, and it's got a little bit of humor in it, and it's not too crazy to get everything in it. You feel really completed once you do everything in it. And the last fight, again, super epic. So
Oh, you forgot to talk about one thing in Skyward Sword. Our friend Biff.
his name wasn't Biff.
Buff?
No, it's Groose.
Ah, that's a Groose.
Groose is amazing, and
Groose
yes,
is
he's
amazing.
right. He's underrated.
Forgot Groose.
Groose is
All right,
beautiful.
continue. Sorry. Groose needs a shout out.
I know it's not. I'm not really like making key points in this saying why Ocarina is great. You need to play it. That's all I can really say. It's not too long, so you can get your enjoyment from it. You can do your own pace, but I do suggest that you do everything when you play Ocarina because there's so much you can get from it. And you connect with all the characters.
Any
that's
port
really
of
important.
Ocarina will work. Just play it.
That's true. 3DS is better for both of these. Don't get me wrong, nostalgia. I grew up with the N64 versions. The 64 controller, he doesn't like the 64 controller, and a lot of people don't.
Not my favorite.
It's really close knit. I have one issue with it, only one, and that's the fact that the control stick is extremely sensitive. They didn't really know how to like smooth like moving around and stuff at the time. So it's just pretty much a straightforward.
It was
you
a
hit
first
up,
attempt.
left, right. It goes there immediately. And so when you're doing like these mini games, where you're aiming and trying to hit rupees and shit. It's rough. It's rough.
Trying to dodge and you don't dodge properly.
So no, that's just you.
Rude.
So absolutely wonderful. Again, the ending is amazing, and this kind of brought in like the lore and the staple of it into the series, because it's always had like some sort of thing where you're going after the big bad guy, but the plot twist and stuff that happens along Zelda was crazy and game changing. So. Now, that being said, everything you love and was nearing now, there's some grittiness to Ocarina for sure, but like especially when you go into the future timeline. But Majora's is crazy. It's like you're on, like having a fever dream of all the people you know. It's like you wake up and everybody forgot who you are, but you're like, I know you and I know what you like and stuff. It's really weird, but it's also like kind of endearing and mysterious because of that. So
And how it connects into
Yeah.
Ocarina is wicked.
And that's the root of it all for me, why I think Majora's is the greatest, is the fact that they know you form connections with these characters, or they at least expect you to. If you don't, you're not playing Majora's right, in my opinion. And and the fact that you see these characters that were so happy-go-lucky, like Nintendo characters for the most part. I mean, there's bad shit that happened in the future, but not a fucking like... essentially a nuke coming down to murder them, and them coming to realization with their death. It's crazy. It's so dark and it's so real. It has so much weight to it. So
isn't Zelda or Link on death row anyway? Because he did the taboo.
Yeah. This is still. I don't actually think this is canon, but I don't care. To me, it is. It makes sense because in Twilight Princess, the person you learn your new moves from is called the Hero's Shade, and it's just a skeleton wearing this cool helmet, and he's got this very interesting shield that looks very, 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 very familiar. And he talks about how he was a hero in his time, and he knows all these crazy moves to attack. So the connections between him and, by the way, his shield is a shield that is only in Majora's Mask. And this is also like in this weird like dream world state area. So who knows what's actually real in this world? This could just be what that shade perceives himself as, which could make sense out of all this. So the thing is that you learn in Ocarina of Time that he was raised by this tree. The tree had these kids called the Kokiri. They're these like fairy children elf. They're basically like
Children of the Deku Tree.
yeah, they're like the Keebler elf sort of deal. I don't know.
Keeper of the Land.
They are surviving in this forest and stuff, and they're fine. You're not a human, you're a Hylian, but it's basically the same thing. You're not one of them, and you can grow up and all that stuff. One of the important things is that one of Deku Tree, one of his defenses for his people is he made the woods a maze to get through. And the lore that's 100% canon is that anyone who enters the Lost Woods without a fairy will die. That's how it is. You'll get lost and you'll die. And the end of Ocarina, this isn't really a huge spoiler, so I feel like it's okay to say. When everything's wrapped up, Navi's like this was great. I'm gonna go back. Bye. Like we'll hang out. Like I'll see you later. Sort of thing.
But our adventure's over.
And then your adventure's over. Then enter Majora's Mask, and Link's, for whatever reason, really wants to see Navi, so he goes into the Lost Woods with riding Epona, which is also kind of weird that he can ride Epona in there and not anywhere else. But and he just starts. It's literally like Alice in Wonderland. You go down a rabbit hole. Next thing you know, you're in this area and you're seeing stuff that like shouldn't make sense, but you're here and whatever. And that's another thing too, is it does have a lot of parallels, I think, with Alice in Wonderland, one of my favorite stories of all time. So it's just absolutely great. And then on top of that, the music is great. I love the mask. It's a gimmick, I don't care, but it's fucking amazing. And then the ending is so good. It's so good. So yeah, I'll leave that as there.
All right.
So the big two.
Well, one of them you can put in spot already because you haven't played it.
Sure. So, Hyrule Warriors: Age of Calamity. I do plan on playing. I'm probably gonna love it. I mean, just short and simple. Probably gonna love it because of the same thing as the Hyrule Warriors. I mean, that's the thing. They're their own sort of thing. I don't feel bad not 100%ing every game. These don't really have 100%. Like, there's nothing that like would make sense to 100% in those type of games.
But
so
it's definitely be your type of game.
So it's gonna be definitely my type of game.
And from what I hear, it's decently dark.
Yeah, and I'm sure it is. I mean, Breath of the Wild is too. So regardless, the gameplay is so fun. I'm sure I'm have absolutely no problem playing. And I do plan on playing it in this year, but
the big one.
But the big one, the reason why
don't take too long, because we're already over. But definitely get your key points across.
All right, so this is hard for me to play. It's not even just for like what I don't want people to like judge me for, because I'm just gonna be honest how I feel. But it's, I don't know. See, the thing is, I don't think it belongs on this list. That's short and simple of it. Is that hell? Like, I mean, even Hyrule Warriors, even Tingle's Rupee Land is more of a Zelda game than Breath of the Wild is. So
put it where you think it deserves.
We're gonna put it here, and we're gonna. How do I edit?
Edit. You're gonna put not a Zelda game.
Whoa.
I'll fix it. Don't worry.
It's doing weird shit now.
Backspace.
All right.
And the X at the top.
That's the thing. Okay. So this is it's just how it is, and this is how I feel about it. It's very unpopular, and I that's what I don't want to. I'm not gonna rate it trash because it's not a trash game. I mean, I'm not stupid. I fuck it, like fucking Last of Us and stuff like that. The stuff that I don't play and I'm not necessarily a huge fan of. I do plan on changing those. That's a separate night talking about that. But I know they're great games. They're just not really for me. Same thing with Horizon, for instance. I have a feeling I'm going to hate it, but I don't think it's a bad game by any means. I mean, there's going to be a great story and all that. Something that something I'm not going to enjoy. And that's the thing is that. And I was following Breath of the Wild, so I mean, I was really hyped for this. I knew it was going to be big, because I played Skyrim, so I went in and I was like, oh, I love Skyrim. Like, this is, like, good. I feel satisfied whenever I do, like, stuff like that. But it genuinely felt...
too big?
So, no, it's not even... Okay, it's not even that. I'm not going to get to that. It's because size is a big thing for me. Again, I brought up multiple times. I like shorter games. I like replayable games. Breath of the Wild just didn't feel, even from day one when I was enjoying this, guys. I want you to know I was enjoying this. I played this for somewhere between 300 and 400 hours. I didn't make much progress. I know it's surprising, but whatever. Anyway, it's his own thing. I'll get into that real quickly. But what I do want to say is it just didn't feel right even from day one. As much as I loved what I was doing in the beginning, it just didn't feel like Zelda even back then. Like, which is fine. I mean, they can change new things, and so I thought maybe the beginning area is just like that, but no, it wasn't. It stays like that.
Tutorial's over. Go ham.
So
do what you want.
It's just, I don't know. Like, don't get me wrong. Some of these like genuinely like are so different and off the wall. Like Four Swords, it's multiplayer. That doesn't feel like Zelda at all. I get that too. But you know what? If you had anybody else in there, I bet you most people would say like, "Hey, that kind of feels like Zelda." Mm-hmm. That's the rule I'm going with here, because it makes it make more sense. You know, like Hyrule Warriors. Yeah, I mean, that's a bit more of a stretch. I just like that game. That should honestly go there too. But that's just my style and that sort of thing. But it's not a Zelda game. I wouldn't claim that Hyrule Warriors is a Zelda game. So I wouldn't even claim Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity is a Zelda game, because it's not. It's got Zelda characters and got Zelda stories in it, but it's not a Zelda
Correct. That's why you're just rating it based off whatever you want. If you don't think Zelda Breath of the Wild's a true Zelda game, then that's where it deserves. If it's like,
because it's not bad.
Because that's the thing with Hyrule Warrior Definitive Edition and Rupee Land, whatnot. They're side stuff. They're not main. So you're basing it off crossbow tree. You're basing it off the game and how fun it is. And that's more like Breath of the Wild, which is technically canon in a new format.
I mean, honestly, canon is such a loose term regardless, because ever since Skyward Sword, they pretty much gave up on being canon again. That's the thing, so it doesn't even make any sense anymore. But that's the thing, the Zelda people have been trying to fit everything in so far. And then they have Breath of the Wild, which references Ocarina. It references Wind Waker. Like actual stuff that it talks about in game. It's not necessarily related to the amiibo stuff. Twilight Princess, like it talks to these things that are across timelines, and they already created a lore for themselves. So it doesn't really make sense. Like, it's just kind of a combination of everything.
No one knows where to fit it.
Nobody knows where to fit it. So canon's a hard word, because canon is true to its lore, where this creates its own lore. So
and
that's the thing.
Only redeeming thing will be maybe the sequel.
Yeah, I don't know. It just so okay.
When it comes to lore,
I will say the story felt a lot more elaborate than anything else, but I can't really trash it too much, because the story was enjoyable from what I've experienced. Like, granted, I've only done one Divine Beast, and I've beaten the game with that. So and I found I think more than half the memories. So
the memories are beautiful.
So I know I'm not going off of everything, but from the story I saw, like, it was great. It was great. It was a lot more like grounded in like reality more, I would say, too, because they were trying to. They were really like kings and knights and war. That's like what the story like gave me the vibes of. Like it felt more like that than like a fantasy, which that doesn't in itself make it. I wouldn't say that that's anything in that's bad relating that to Zelda. You know, because like they all have like stuff all over the place with their lore. It is different, but that's not really even a bad thing. I would still say it's the Zelda story. But that's the thing, is like it just doesn't feel like Zelda anymore. I don't know. There's just they changed so much, and they kind of had to be fair. But they changed so much where, and this is like I've said this before, but I will say it on here for the definitive Zelda talking about video. It's not if you can take out the characters and the names of things. I did a lot of the shrines. I actually did most of the shrines, despite not doing very many Divine Beasts. But Yeah, if you can change out the character. Okay, so look at it this way. There's a lot of games that suffer from this, in my opinion. So it's not just Breath of the Wild, but if you can take out the names and the characters, change the sprite to something else. Let's just, in this instance, take out the cutscenes, because the cutscenes, while they are great, they are so few and far between compared to what you're actually doing in the game. If you could change that and you wouldn't know what franchise it's in, and this is like a franchise that's a award-winning franchise that like is known for this, and this, then can you really call it the same game? Like, can you really say that it's that franchise anymore? It just doesn't. When you, granted, I don't like change. I never have, but I can get used to it. And obviously, these all have like a lot of differences about them. But you know what they all have? They have traditional. You collect heart pieces in heart containers. There are a couple exceptions to that, but they were early on usually. As they went on, they introduced that you got that. They also introduced, you end up eventually getting like some sort of ride, and you're going around and you're exploring that way, but it's always just one. There's one that's significant that's tied to you, and it's usually Epona or the King of Red Lions, or like it does move a little bit around with that one too, but there's still some sort of like, okay, I expect it to be this sort of thing. They also have, for instance, like the swords breaking. I mean, yes, they have one run so they can break in Ocarina, but like, and I get that for normal weapons, but it is really weird they did that for the Master Sword still.
Master Sword doesn't break; it just loses its light.
But it breaks because it has the same exact thing, other than the fact that it's gone for good once it breaks. Gotcha. That's the only thing that's different about the Master Sword, which doesn't feel right.
The Hylian shield breaks too, so
yeah, and that shouldn't break either. So it's weird, but regardless. So the point I'm trying to make is that when you change so much that you lose without cutscenes, you lose the connection to your series. I feel like there's something wrong in that. Like, it's almost, I don't know. It's almost like you're moving away, and I get that they probably are. They're moving away from the old and just trying to change it up completely, which is why it feels more like a reboot than anything else, which might explain where the placement is. But for people like
you think it's like a reboot into Zelda 1 type deal?
It's like, okay, so this is a really good example. So I haven't played the original Tomb Raiders, but I'm pretty sure I'm gonna like them. So it's kind of hard to say this one, to be fair too. But I loved the middle reboot Tomb Raiders, which still had the controls of Tomb Raiders. I am not really crazy for the new trilogy. And that's the same thing, is if you put Nathan Drake in there, I would totally think it's Uncharted. I would never be able to tell you it's Tomb Raider. There's some things you just change too much and it loses itself. So now I get that change brings in more people a lot of times.
But you also lose people.
But you lose people, and I think, and that's the key thing here, is that while I think Zelda is, and it's a masterpiece of a game in a lot of ways. That doesn't mean I like it. I really, there's a lot of stuff I dislike about it, and the nail in the coffin is that it doesn't feel like I'm playing Zelda anymore. So even when I'm like, okay, I just got tough through this, do this, and this, it doesn't feel like Zelda. So it's not even gratifying anymore when I do make progress in it. So it's I don't know. I really hope it can change. I'm gonna try my hardest to actually learn how to love this game in this next year. But it's just this might have lost me. So I don't like you said, I don't like open world games as much anymore. They stress me out because I grew up with these as my open world games. And these games were, if you get everything in the game and you have that super satisfying feeling of getting everything and having like a full item bar, which, by the way, they leave in like a checkbox sort of way, then like they are really completion friendly. And then you have a game like this where it's like, just pick up the shit that you come across. Like that doesn't feel, that's like so wildly different. And so to train myself out of that is like, it's just, it's hard, and so meanwhile I'm just like, fuck you to every chest and Korok seed that I still have yet to get. It just doesn't feel
real.
It doesn't feel right, and but that's really what it comes down to, guys. Is that I can step outside of myself and realize that this game is like perfect for some people that like open world games, just doing stuff at their own pace and exploring at like whatever they want to do. If you want to wake up one day, be like, hey, I want to see what happens if I fucking throw a bomb in this well, or I'm gonna go over to here and start snowboarding. Like, that's like great. You can do that shit in Breath of the Wild, and that is amazing. But it's also at the same time, it's also not a Zelda game, plain and simple. So I think that it's a great game. It just doesn't have the same feeling at the very least that Zelda gave me and continued to give me over my whole life. So this is the first one that truly does not feel the same. So, yep, that's how I feel about it. Hope I didn't piss off everybody, but it just.
Hey man, this is your personal opinion.
It just, yeah, plain and simple. It just truly does not feel like a Zelda game anymore. There are plenty of franchises that have this issue, though. I want to put that out there, that I am not singling out this, and I get that my rating kind of can seem a little bit of a oxymoron at points for this, but
it's on a game by game basis.
Well, and regardless, is that some of these I will say in this rating, I'm not rating because it's not all of them are Zelda games even on this list. Like, they don't feel like Zelda games either. But they also were one-offs, and I still liked them, so I put them higher up. I don't like the type of game that Zelda Breath of the Wild is. It's just insanely massive, like not really entirely meant to be 100%ed open world game, which a lot of games fit into nowadays.
Yep.
Or else they expect you to only play that game, and I as much as I love Zelda, it's not my only franchise I love. So
you love a lot.
Yeah. Anyways, so I'll wrap it up there. I'll go on
honest,
forever. But
Tingle should be up here.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, so we totally forgot one. So this is gonna be added in after. So Cadence of Hyrule is one more. Kind of an oddball one, but I wanted to speak about it. I don't think a text screen would do justice to it, so I just want to put this out there that I think Cadence of Hyrule deserves... Honestly, Cadence of Hyrule deserves an S tier in my book. I know it's not really a proper Zelda game. Well, I don't know. It's just not traditional. It's not made entirely by Nintendo, so that's the big difference. But honestly, Cadence of Hyrule it has all the elements there. So it's really just like a roguelike version of Link to the Past if you haven't played. So the big difference is that you attack and move to the rhythm. So it is a little different, but I do think that it belongs up there. I absolutely love it at the very least. And while it might not be called The Legend of Zelda, it is, compared to some of these, it is more of a more enjoyable Zelda game. And it follows that same rule where even if you're not playing even if it didn't have Zelda characters, it's a Zelda game. It feels like it. So that's, in my own words, that's where it belongs.
Well, I'm glad you like this. I'm glad you're able to express your feelings, and it's documented.
Yep. Also, on a secret list, I think that we need to address the CDI games, and since I've seen them.
Legend of Zelda, or was it Legend of Link, right?
You know what I cannot. It's the something of Gamelon, the Wand of Gamelon, and
Give me 2
Faces
seconds.
of Evil, I think. I can't. Oh gosh.
Zelda, the Wand of Gamelon, Link, the Faces of Evil, Zelda's Adventure.
Dude.
And then technically, Game & Watch 4 has some Zelda stuff in it.
You know what's the saddest part?
The Japanese only.
Those games, I genuinely think that you have to have like some sort of like you gotta be messed up if you love those games. Like, actually.
And then Japan only, there's Tingle's Balloon Fight.
At the same time,
Rip and Tingle's Balloon Triple Love.
At the same time, the CDI games are more Zelda games than Breath of the Wild, and that says something. It really does. So I just want people to sit on that as we call it for tonight.
So.